Well, my name is Zack Spell, and I wanted to give the Lord some glory and tell my testimony. Um, and I hope that sharing it does something for somebody that needs to hear it. Mainly, I just want to lift up Jesus. Um, so I was born. Um, my mother and father, they didn't make it. They separated, and so that left me and my sister. We was pushed to the side, and um, luckily that some family members come together and they helped take us in and raise us. So for the most part, we was raised by aunts and uncles, and my grandparents did the most. I was deemed mental health at a very early age because families didn't want to deal with you. Number one, you wasn't theirs. Number two, you wasn't their responsibility. They felt like, and so there it was. They took me in there, and gave me some medicine, and there it started. I mean, of course, I had a lot going on. I was just looking for some love, man. That's what I had going on. So a kid will rebel when they want some attention. Or they're not getting what they need, they'll start rebelling, and that's what it was. So they took me to the doctor, and they started me on this medicine, and that is, I think, some of where it got started at. They put me on so many different medicines as a child. I mean, then it got worse and worse, and then I started medicating myself, and then so I thought, well, if they gonna give me this, well, why don't I try something, and it just went on. But so, like I said, they diagnosed me with, I was ADD as a younger child. Then they diagnosed me as a manic depressant. And then a little later on, they diagnosed me as a manic depressant with multiple personalities and a chemical dependency on methamphetamine. And, so all that's going on. I just wanted to say that the Lord restored my mind fully. I don't take no medicine whatsoever now, at all. And so if somebody's facing a diagnosis today and the doctor's told you something, don't receive that. Don't receive it as the final. Take it to the Lord, Take it to the Lord. And if the Lord, I'm not saying that if the doctor's told you to take this medicine to live, don't do that. But, just lean on the Lord. Because I just want you to say that He still restores minds today. That ain't something in the past. That ain't just something with the man in the graveyard. I was that man in the graveyard. I was that man cutting myself. I was that man fighting and beating everybody and throwing up on myself and feasting on myself and throwing it on the guards. I was that man. I was in the butt naked cell. I was that man. And Jesus came and put His hand on me. Teenage years. Of course, I had free reign. My grandparents was elderly, and so, I started finding love and direction in the streets. I was trafficking a lot of narcotics and guns and things of that nature, and it landed me in prison in a big boy camp, the real prisons, and I was in that prison life. I knew it, and it become just a way of life, and I lived that way for many years. I in and out of prisons, different prisons, and so I was facing a heavy charge and looking at life in prison. It was an eye opener for me. It was a shake from the Lord. It shook me, and so instead of, when I got to prison, getting back involved in all the things and the gangs and the drugs and the scamming and the things that go on in prison to get by, just the time, that's what you do to get by. And it lost its lure. I mean, the Lord just started drawing me and wooing me to Himself. And I started stepping away from them things and just, trying to, fill the void a different way. So I took to reading a lot and doing my time by myself, and not in the crowd. And a gang member that I was close to and done rec call with, we worked out and done shadow boxing and things like that. And he had a Bible. It was a Message Bible. And I was studying, reading one day, and he come by and just dropped that Bible on me. Didn't say a word, just dropped it. And I put it beside me, didn't think nothing of it, didn't even know what it was, And after some time, a couple of days went by, I picked it up and started reading it. Pretty soon, all my reading material had found its way to the side, and that was it. That was my main thing. I got into the Bible, and he had to teach me. He kept teaching me, and a lot of the other things, just like I said, lost its lure. The more I started understanding, and there was nothing ever. There was nothing. I'll say this: there was never no high like the Most High in my life. I mean, he topped everything that I had ever experienced in my life. And I mean, he didn't get me out of prison right then. He didn't nothing. It's just the touch of God in my life. I mean, it just transformed my heart. I'm telling you, it's in there. If you want to know Jesus, pick up that word. Pick it up, and he will be there. He will be there. No, and I'm not saying that maybe your circumstances right then won't change, but you'll change. The way you view them, the way you see them, will change. You won't be alone in your circumstances, because he'll be there with you. I just wanted to mention I'd been released from prison, and most of my family had gone on and scattered all abroad, and my grandfather had passed away, and so I just wanted to go back to some of my roots, and so I went back to my grandparents' old house where I was raised some, and so I pulled up and was just reflecting on my childhood, and I seen an older fella walking up to the truck, and it took me a second, and I recognized him from way back in my childhood as just a good man. And so he come on up to the truck, and I got out, and I said, "Herbert, is that you?" And he just run to me and grabbed me and hugged me, and he just said, "I have been praying for you all of your life. I am so happy to see you. The Lord has answered my prayers." And I wanted to encourage all the intercessors out there that are praying. Don't stop. If you have been burdened for your daughter, your son, or your husband, continue to lift that burden up to the Lord, because he's still on the throne. He reached into my life and give me a heart of flesh. He took a heart of stone and give me a heart of flesh, and has changed my whole life. And he can do it for me. He's no respecter of persons. If he could do it for me, he would do it for you. And I just want to encourage and thank all the intercessors, because they're behind the scenes. They're not seen a lot. They're up at 3 a.m. praying for you. And I just know that that's some of the reason that I'm still here, that navigating through the prison life and different things. My life has been on the line several times, and I just know that it's the prayers of the righteous, it's the devoted, the intercessors, and I just want to encourage them. And anybody that is on the fence, that is in programs, or that is having a hard circumstance in their life, just to pick up the word, and just to call on Jesus, just like you are, just come to him, and he could change your life too.